Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday the 14th of January. So halfway through the month-ish almost, and well, we've saw a bit of a continuation on the euro yesterday, but before we get on to that, let's just have a look at what impact events we might have. Risk events for today, and this actually is just look at today here. We've got Lagarde speaking at 1:15 this afternoon, so once again it's an afternoon of speakers and everything else that's going with it. We've got the core retail sales out this afternoon. Everything seems to be loaded towards driving in the afternoon at this rate, or the movement in the afternoon. I would imagine with this Lagarde speech, it could create some volatility there at 1:15. Not often when I'm looking at it, it seems quite well, it's not likely to do too much, but we could see some movement at 1:15, and we've got the core retails at 1:30. Industrial production, but it's less likely to do too much, but there we are. And the consumer sentiment, that's really doesn't seem to do too much at all. It's more retail sales would be the biggie there of anything, and if inflation's pushing on, we'll just see retail sales going up maybe a bit more, and it just shows it's a bit more consumer led, this inflationary move we're in, although it hasn't been so far. Anyway, let's have a look at the technicals, and starting off looking at the euro. In fact, I'm just going to come back a step here and looking at the weekly picture. Talked about this yesterday. We're pretty close now to running into that 21 and 200. Love to see what the reaction is going to be off them. This has been quite a solid week that we've seen here, but I'm really looking, as I say, to see that reaction. It'll be around about of that second wave. If we're measuring this, comparing this fourth wave to it, it'll be about a 61.8 percentage of that wave. So it'll be interesting to see how it develops. Anyway, from where we are at the moment, what's happening? Well, yesterday it did push up a little bit, but sold off late evening-ish. I'd say late-ish evening-ish. Came back a little bit, but it's still hanging around there. The more it hangs around there, the more, well, it's not fit. It doesn't seem finished. Might just, as I say, need that one more push, or maybe it's got even more to come. But if it's got more to come, then it's in a different wave process altogether, and we're in a bigger correction. Good morning, Al. Okay, so yeah, what we've got at the moment, there is a bit of double divergence running across the highs here, looking a little bit iffy. Let's hit a daily pivot. You see the range is so tight on the pivots here today, because, well, it was a range bound day yesterday. It didn't really get too far either way. At the moment it's pushing back up for the highs. I'm just sitting waiting on the euro, personally. So there we are, sitting waiting to see what happens if it hits that weekly 200. If it doesn't get there, it doesn't get there. If it starts breaking down and gives me a good signal, I still will look to trade it short side, but at the moment it's probably not finished where it is. Alright, the pound much more solid in general, but yesterday was a bit of a damp squib. It didn't really go too far at all, and closed back towards where its opening levels were. At the moment, well, if it breaks 36.99 area, I could be quite bearish on this. Well, I say quite bearish, a little bit bearish. I'm not overall on. Big picture is still bullish for me on the pound. It's not really changed too much yet. Might be slowing down, but I'm still erring towards the bullish side. I think we'll see a round of interest rate increases over here in the UK as well. And it will hold the pound up reasonably well, and growth, etc., have all been pretty decent. But where my cursor sits at the moment, around about this area, is the pivotal area on this the market, around this sort of 37.03 area. Well, below the 50 basically. Rolls below the 50, it becomes a little bit more bearish, at least for the intermediate time frame. But for now, it's not getting. It's again, look at how tight these pivots are at the moment. Squeezing up here. Maybe a break above the recent high here at 37.38 would get me on the long side, but it's going to be running into trouble fairly quickly. Patience game. Yen's just been the easier one. It's just been coming off and off against well, the US dollar's been coming off against the yen. I should word it rightly. It's lower highs, lower lows through here. It's almost in free fall at the moment where you look at it. I mean, it certainly was the day before yesterday, or the day before yesterday, and yesterday really just saw the continuation of that move, and already this morning we've seen the continuation yet more. This really points to risk off when you see this sort of money running into the yen quite like this, and well, it's maybe what it is, but we're seeing risk off on here, yet we're seeing the euro and the pound still looking strong, so well, maybe just more dollar bashing in this particular case. Looking at it on the shorter time frames, well, consolidation around these lows, maybe it's got more legs in it, but again, the pivots are so pinched and close, maybe we should have to ignore those today. There's an S1 down here which is probably beckoning, would be the next point of proper support. Aussie dollar is struggled around those prior highs. So yesterday it did manage to pitch up, but it was very small days, which again just shows that the momentum's gone out of the upward move a little bit here. Perhaps it will pick back through. Just coming down the time frames here is a bull flag on this shorter time frame, and still looks like it's got some potential within it for another push up. As I said yesterday, well, I've been saying all week, this still remains to me on the sort of the bullish side of things against these currencies. It's still got potential to push up further, as with the pound. Right. So maybe a break above the high, the overnight high there, or say overnight high, the 6 o'clock high there, will give it more chance to the upside. Okay, that's the Aussie. CAD finally, the big 6, 7, 6. Looking then at the Canadian dollar daily wise, I mean it's gone and gone. I mean this perfect wave formation, this third wave stretching its legs a little bit now, bounced a little bit at one stage yesterday, managed to bounce, but really in the bigger pattern here it remains pretty bearish. Now if it was to break that sort of 25, 20, 28 area, well, that would be a sort of a signal that it may be moving, bouncing, got a bigger bounce in there. But at the moment, I'm just looking down the time frames here, still looks particularly pretty bearish. As we go down there, consolidation could be the sort of usual scene for the morning, but maybe we'll get a break. We've seen these sort of breaks come in the afternoons, bigger than any other time, and they're the bigger moves, but there we are. Right, that's the currencies. Let's have a look at gold, commodities. Just looking at gold, and gold here pushing on then on 60 minutes. Let's just have a look at the better running today. So we're at this point on gold. It's spent 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days sitting around these highs here about 1827. So there's a lot of resistance around these points. Let's just come here. It may eventually break beyond it. It's looking like it could. So we might see a continuation on gold at the moment. So follow through on there. It's looking reasonably good, and this all points to dollar bashing. So it's sort of a bit more of a squeeze on those dollar longs. It's right the way across the board actually. So as I was pointing out, the yen a moment ago being, when we normally see that doing well, it's sort of risk off, but this doesn't. This seems like a risk on event all over. Oil never managed to do too much at all yesterday. It was a bit of a disappointed afternoon there. It just got into a nowhere land, and didn't manage to, at 2 o'clock, didn't manage to break the prior highs there, and that was it. It sort of it just got into range. It's actually moving a little bit better at the moment, but we'll see how things develop this later in the day. But still got scope for pushing up here. It's quite a series of lower highs, lower lows on this 60-minute time frame, but yeah, overall if you look at it on the bigger picture, it's looking quite bullish still. Right, let's switch markets. Let's have a look at, he says, switch over, have a look at the cryptos first if I can. Start off with looking at Bitcoin. Put volume on here. I was just looking at the volume into Bitcoin recently. I just wanted to see whether we were really getting anything solid in these updates as much as anything else, and comparing it to the market. And it's not. It's they were smaller volumes, or more, maybe more normalized volumes, but the volumes weren't particularly great on those. And we saw again yesterday the sell-off coming through, so a bit of weakness in the, more so towards the afternoon, but it just gives me the impression that this is going to continue to the downside. Ethereum, likewise, volume-wise, the move to the upside, not really. The sell points are more fearful, and I was looking at the fear index on the Bitcoin itself, and the fear index seems to be towards the extreme side of the extreme side of things. Now, when you've got a market that's extremely fearful, it's often the time to buy it. But technically, I don't think these are right to buy in this fearful stage. They may still have some technical rollover yet. I'll come on to that. May even do a video later on that. Right. So Ethereum looking iffy. Likewise with Ripple, etc. They're all sort of they've taken the break of these prior lows. They're looking soft. The volumes are soft on the upside. Yeah, the one I've been looking at for the last week or so, even this now, I mean, it did make a nearly made a more near-term high, but didn't manage to break through this sort of resistance point. This stays as a key level on FTM. Maybe if it can get a break of that, it'll get a more significant push. But for now, it's hanging in around there, but outperforming some of the others. Right, indices. It's hit 8 o'clock. I can look at the indices and see some sense, hopefully, because we'll see the open. So starting off, CSI 300, well, as expected, further downside here. It's weaker. It's breaking through those prior lows there. It really is. Moving to the downside, lower highs, lower lows, continuation expected. Nikkei, again, gap down. Now these gaps are all over the place on the Nikkei cash market, but pretty close to the prior lows of the, well, sorry, the trend line there, beg your pardon, and prior low there. So finding a bit of support off the more recent low, but this again, to me, looks like it's got further downside potential. Coming over to Europe, and well, the FTSE's opened down this morning. It had a solid day, but there's a hanging man at the top there. Maybe that was the warning, but selling off so far this morning. It's certainly started on a back foot. The DAX yesterday, spinning top sort of candle, it just couldn't hold on to its gains at all. Eventually sold off and gave most back. Not looking particularly great, and as the CAC, it's looking here like it could even give us a continuation to this wave down. So looking quite soft there at this stage. S&Ps, no surprise there then. Yesterday down, today, well, it's already pitched a bit lower. Not quite a key reversal bar here, but a bullish engulfing on the bodies, and just again looks soft. We're seeing this sort of softness running across here. So we're about out of sync a little bit. Often, are we out of sync? We're not out of sync too much. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Generally, we've got the S&Ps falling over. We got the European currencies falling over. And we're not really seeing that, so we're out of sync with the equity markets and the currencies. So there is a, as I say, it's okay, maybe driven by dollar selling, and that's on this particular occasion seeing the negative impact as money flows are running away from the US indices as well. Bearish engulfing there on the Dow Jones, quite a key reversal bar really. May see some more downside on that later. If it breaks the lows downside, certainly looking for much more of a move, more of a correction. So weakness on the equities. There we go. That's why I'll leave it. I wish you all a great Friday trading, and I'll catch you in the morning. No, I won't. I'll catch you on Monday. I'm not going to be here in the morning. I lied. All right. Have a great one. Take care. Bye for now. There we go.